Welcome to Explosive Enterprises. While the VFC M249 has only been out for a few months now, there's been a substantial amount of immediate aftermarket support, plus we've learned a few things about the system over the course of about 20,000 rounds we felt it worth sharing with you guys today, along with some improvements we've made to the recommendations we had in our review. To start with, in our initial review we stated that the nozzle appears to use an 18.5mm O-ring and that this does not seal especially well, but that a 19mm O-ring, despite sealing better, causes fluctuating muzzle velocity. At an event in November, it became clear that the stock O-ring was barely sealing at all on one of the guns, as the rate of fire noticeably dropped and the gun ran out of air far sooner than it should have. So we tried the 19mm O-ring again, and while it did demonstrate inconsistency once installed, with use it has settled back to a stable power output while improving efficiency and slightly increasing rate of fire. To be clear, that's a 19mm outer diameter O-ring with a 2mm cross-section and a 15mm inner diameter. Next, we mentioned in our review that while CL project adjustable valves didn't work for us, they do seem to work for other users. We confirmed that our valves appear to have been mismanufactured and don't index properly on the cross pin. As long as a valve has a straight, parallel, centered grub screw, not angled like this, it should work. We've exclusively been using our two M249s with the AEG box mag conversion we showed in the review, and this has been working great with one caveat. It turns out it's necessary to keep the stop on empty lever on the feed lips, as otherwise the BB stack can build enough pressure to force the BBs through the feed lips, which is very funny to watch, but also causes serious jams. So leave the lever in place, but we do recommend enabling dry fire mode just to ensure a temporary interruption in feeding doesn't stop up the gun. On one of the guns we've made an additional tweak, and that's adding some circuitry directly to the fire control group. Now when the trigger is pulled, it depresses a micro switch which is wired to a 3.5mm audio port. The box mag has correspondingly been converted to a 3.5mm jack, and this all obviously required a bit of DIY work, but the end result is that the box mag winds whenever the trigger is pulled, which eliminates needing to remember to push the button. Just something to consider if you're handy with a soldering iron. Both guns use mag brand box mag internals, and these have worked flawlessly after adjusting the screws a bit. It seems that mag often over-tightens the screws holding the internals together, and this can create excess friction when the box mag is wound, which negatively impacts feeding. Loosening each screw just a quarter turn seems to help a lot without allowing them to work out under vibration. From there, all that's needed is to convert a cassette magazine, as we showed in the review, then use a longer section of Bowden spring tubing, which we'll link a US listing for in the description. Simple, straightforward, and effective. Oh, and both of these guns have been used exclusively on HPA for this duration without any issues, as have the other three M249s in our local area. Each of us has tried the gun on gas, liked the idea of a self-contained gas blowback M249, and then swapped over to HPA. I get it, HPA is a hassle, but after more extensive use, we agree that HPA tapping transforms the gun, and the convenience of not having to worry about cooldown or refilling the box outweighs the annoyance of the tether. Moving on to Aftermarket, DNA is producing a lot of steel parts for the 249, but in particular they have replicas of the early Mini-Me handguard in stock. However, this DNA handguard required filing to fit properly, while the stock does not feature a buffer, as the real thing used a different recoil spring and buffer system as compared to the more modern stocks. The gun will still work without a buffer, but the cyclic rate decreases, and we're not sure what the long-term consequences might be of the aluminum carrier slamming into the steel stock. So, we drilled a hole and glued in a piece of AEG spring to serve as a buffer, and at 100 psi this increases the cyclic rate from 12.5 rounds per second to 15 rounds per second and cushions against impact. If you don't want to make that kind of permanent alteration, gluing in a piece of foam or sorbothane pad will reduce wear and tear just without the rate of fire increase. And lastly, but most importantly, we found a better solution for HopUp performance than the nozzle mod we previously developed. We were inspired by the Kingdom Technology Tech 9's simple solution to the open bolt problem. It just has a rib in the bucking that arrests the BB before it reaches a contact patch, nullifying any unwanted spin. So I took a maple leaf wonder bucking, 70 degree, and cut down the stabilizer ring slightly. I then bent the ring into a complete circle, a bit smaller than it was before, and carefully installed this onto the bucking. With the smaller ring, the BB is held in place and does not enter the bucking until the nozzle pushes it through, eliminating any spin it acquired during feeding. We then installed this bucking on the stock barrel and the stock hop unit, changing nothing else. Compare the performance in a review, this elevates the accuracy from good enough for a machine gun to good enough to outshoot most rifles. It's now capable of reliably making hits on hard targets out to its maximum range. Just check this out.
Hey, Tom. In the window to the left of the truck?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I do see her.
Oh, that's good. Oh, you got him!
And the best part is, this actually does not require the nozzle standoff spring modification at all. Just swap the bucking on a stock gun and you're good to go. So for now, we'll leave the nozzle standoff piece up on Thingiverse and Shapeways just in case someone doesn't want to open up their hop unit for whatever reason, but we highly recommend instead just swapping out the bucking for a modified Maple Leaf Wonder as shown. Yes, I am telling you not to buy from us and to instead use a commercial product that we do not profit from in any way. Our nozzle mod works and it does improve performance over stock, but this is even better. Otherwise, this has been a solid performer, though 20,000 rounds is really not enough to draw any major conclusions about long-term reliability. As mentioned in our review, the main sear and carrier do need to be kept greased up to avoid galling, but so long as you keep up on maintenance, the parts do hold up, and we'll be sure to update if anything changes. For now, if you'd like to support us, consider checking out our merch store in the description. And as always, thanks for watching.